Hi. Before going to video, please subscribe to my channel for more interesting stuff. And the question is,
serious, what are some seemingly normal images with disturbing backstories? This father-daughter photo. The man in the photo, Franklin Delano Floyd, had married a woman and had custody over her children while she was in prison for 30 days. The girl in the photo is one of the children, whom Floyd decided to kidnap to start a new life with, leaving behind her siblings. 2 went to foster care, and 1, an infant, had never been found. The photo was taken shortly after moving, claiming her as his biological daughter, and changing their names. He later went on to marry her. It's a rabbit hole in itself involving other abductions, murder, kidnappings, and so on. Floyd is a disturbing individual and the photo is so airy with the story it has. This was from a case in Denmark a couple of years ago. The woman was a Swedish journalist who was invited by the man to come with him in his home-built submarine. This was one of the last pictures of her, before he brutally killed her and dumped her mutilated body different places under the water to hide it. A crazy man with a fucked up mind. I know this thread is a little old now, but some morbid scrollers may find this fascinating. This photo is of Issei Sagawa, an actual cannibal from Japan. This photo was taken for a Japanese magazine after he was released from prison due to insanity. He was frequently on talk shows, reviewed restaurants for magazines and even appeared in horror films. He wrote a book on his murder of Renee Hartevelt, and you can read in explicit detail about how his mind conflated eating her to a romantic act. Note, it is not for the faint of heart, it will not leave you. This picture was taken by the crew of a ship who saw this girl, 11, floating on a disintegrating float. Her whole family was murdered on a sailboat by their hired captain who left her to drown with the sinking boat. She miraculously made it to the Koark life float. She drifted for 4 days, no water, no food, being burned by the sun. Upon hearing that she had survived, the captain killed himself. Last image of Sydney Loof before she was murdered by her Tinder date. She had been cut into 14 pieces and part of her upper left arm was never found. Her body was brought to the morgue in 6 separate bags. So I just looked this up and it appears far more strange than you let on. Sydney Loof, age 24, began talking to a woman on Tinder who used the fake name Audrey, but it was actually 25-year-old woman Bailey Boswell. The two went on a date, then they went on a second date in which they went to Bailey's home where she lived with her 52-year-old boyfriend Aubrey Trail. Sydney died that night. So Aubrey was a lifelong conman and a sadist who wanted to have a sex cult coven sort of thing comprised of women who were subservient to him. The women told jurors that Trail and Boswell spoke more than once about a desire to torture and kill someone so the women could become witches and gain powers. One woman said the pair intended to record and sell such a video for $1 million. There's more to it than that, but just a strange story. The man dressed as Santa Claus in the picture is Bruce MacArthur. He was a landscaper for most of the year, and worked as the Agincourt Mall Santa during the holiday season. Between 2010 to 2017 he would lure men to meet up via a dating app, murder them, and spread their remains among planters' boxes at properties he managed. He was found guilty of 8 counts of first-degree murder and is serving life in prison. Alan Kruby, freshman at the University of Oklahoma in 2014, murdered his entire family on a Friday. The next day, he drove down to Dallas for the OU-Texas football game, where he stayed in a hotel with his friends and posted this candid photo on Instagram, in what I assume would be an attempt to build an alibi. Didn't work, as he quickly confessed and received multiple life sentences. Still, I can't imagine what the people in this photo, and others who were probably in that hotel room, must have felt when they learned what had happened. This image, from the 1988 Gladbeck hostage crisis in Germany. The guy on the left is a robber, the girl on the right is a hostage who was killed while the police was taking action to stop the crisis. First day, 2 guys robbed a bank and held some people as hostages. They first demanded a getaway car. They were given a white Audi and 300,000 German marks. They took 2 hostages with them in the car. Later one of the robbers' sister boarded the car with them. News reporters were following them with their cars. The next day, the robbers hijacked a bus with 32 passengers in them. A couple of times they allowed a news reporter to come in the bus and interviewed them. Later one of the robbers even came out of the bus to give an interview. It's in German. https://www.youtube.com/watch v=yz_pl1q. You can see the hostage bus in the back. He said that he doesn't care what will happen in the end because he will kill himself and that he doesn't give a shit about his life. Later they let some hostages out of the bus and drove the bus away. They stopped the bus at a gas station where the sister of the robber went to the toilet, where police arrested her. When the robber found out about it, he said that they have 5 minutes to free her or a hostage will be killed. She was let free, but while she was going to the bus, an Italian teenager was killed by the robbers. The Italian teenager was protecting his little sister. He could have survived if there was an ambulance near the gas station. In the night, they drove the bus to the Netherlands, where the Dutch police demanded them to release the young hostages first, before accepting any offerings from the robbers. After they let some hostages away, the Dutch police gave the robbers a BMW car, with remote control. The robbers took 2 hostages with them and drove back to Germany. Later on they were surrounded by a lot of media reporters who took a lot of pictures of the scene, which can be found in Google. While they were driving on a highway, the German police finally took action and rammed the hostage car. The remote controller was forgotten somewhere, so it wasn't used. One of the hostages could flee off the highway, while the other hostage was shot and killed. The driver-robber later said in an interview that the bullets from the policeman killed the hostage. The German police denies that and said that the robber's bullet hit the hostage. Here is a link: https://n.wikipedia.org/wiki/glotbeck_hostage_crisis, to a Wikipedia page of it. The police and the media were heavily criticized because of the lack of taking action, police, and not letting any police near the crime scene. Media. Edit. Typos. The 17-year-old went missing on the morning of February 27, when he told family members that he planned to hike Haiku Stairs, also known as the Stairway to Heaven. The photo is one of a few photos the teen had texted to family members during his hike, and after extensively studying the pictures they noticed a man in one of them. The family is now asking for the public's assistance in identifying the man in the photo, hoping he may have more clues that could possibly lead to Pu's location. Last image of Thai diver Saman Kunan. He was transferring oxygen tanks for 12 boys and their coach, who were trapped in a cave. He got into difficulties and did not have enough air himself. He died after losing consciousness in one of the passageways. The top photo looks like a cop chillin'. It is a fake cop who, when photo taken, just got arrested after killing 77 people, among them approx 60 kids/teenagers, and injuring around 250 people. He set off a bomb in the city that killed 8 people and then went out to an island where a youth camp was held. He just started shooting. They were trapped on the island and had to swim to get off. Kids who didn't know who was shooting came to him for safety because he was dressed as a cop, and then he shot them. Rosalind Carter, First Lady of Jimmy Carter, had the unfortunate luck of being photographed not only with John Wayne Gacy but also Jim Jones, of the Jonestown Massacre. The photos might be the kind of things you'd see on office walls for middle managers or in restaurants, but due to events which would later come to life, they have sinister connotations. The Bridge Guy. This is a photo still from a video taken by 2 girls out for a walk on the Monon High Bridge near Delphi, Indiana in February 2017. They were both found murdered the following day. This picture was recovered from one of the girls' cell phones. The man is presumed to have killed them but has never been found. Edit. Link formatting. This picture taken of David A. Johnston 13 hours before the eruption of Mount St. Helens in 1980. His last words were over Radio Vancouver, "Vancouver, this is it." Before going silent and his remains never found. It's the last picture taken of 18-year-old Jolie Callan by her ex-boyfriend before he shot her twice in the head and pushed her body off the cliff. The photo of the Uruguay rugby team in the plane before takeoff. Article with photo. If you weren't forced to be traumatized reading this in high school, in 1972 a plane holding a rugby team and their family crashed in the Andes Mountains and they were stuck there for months, forced to eat their dead family members, and other horrific things. They were also called monsters for doing what they could to survive after, some, returned to civilization. This Brazilian priest attempted to travel, at the year of 2008, by balloons, from Brazilian city Paranaguá, Rio Grande do Sul Estate to Dourado, Mato Grosso do Sul Estate, 948 kilometers according to Google. He attempted to break a record and raise funds for his organization that did charity for truck drivers. But bad weather altered his trajectory and he had problems with his GPS monitoring, resulting in him flying into the ocean and drowning. This is a very known history in Brazil. This picture from a hiking trip has an injured woman in the background. She and a friend had gone hiking and slipped off of a waterfall. Too injured to move, they were there for a day before being found. The woman in the photograph survived, but by the time they were rescued her friend was already dead. Reddit thread about it here. Edit. As a lot of people are seeing this, please always take precautions when you're hiking, climbing, or otherwise going out into nature. Wear eye-catching clothing, take care around dangerous terrain, tell someone where you're going. Stay safe. Also, wording of the first line changed. I remember an earlier thread with this topic and this was one of the most memorable. It looks like just an ordinary photo of a father happy to see his daughter graduate. However, the guy on the left is Dennis Rader, aka the BTK killer, who killed 10 people over the span of about 25 years, all the while being a beloved member of his community. He was a security system technician, a Cub Scout leader, a church president, a city worker, a happily married father of 2, and a sadistic serial killer. The idea that pretty much any normal-looking person you see on the street could actually be a total psycho really heaves me out. For anyone who isn't aware, the way they caught Dennis Rader was odd. He was basically taunting the police, daring them to catch him, leaving little dolls with tied hands and feet to symbolize his victims, but apparently that wasn't enough. In one of his letters to the police, because of course he sent letters, what kind of self-respecting murderous wackadoo doesn't send letters? He asked if they'd be able to trace him if he sent them a floppy disk. The police, who at this point probably couldn't believe their luck, replied that it would be perfectly safe, so he actually did it. They found some metadata on a deleted Microsoft Word document on the disk that linked to his church and said it was last modified by Dennis. It took them all of 5 minutes to check that there was a Dennis Rader working at the church, and then he became their prime suspect. Fun fact that links back to the original photo, though, that wasn't considered enough to bring him in, and they needed a DNA sample. They used DNA from a pap smear that his daughter had done at the Kansas State University Medical Center while she was a student there, which showed a familial link to DNA found at the crime scenes. That was enough for them to arrest him. This seems to have caused a lot of fuss in the comments below. In short, all clinics are legally required to keep your tissue samples after a pap smear for about 5 years, and it's legal because it was A, done by a court order, and B, done with a specific suspect in mind, rather than just a random pull on a database. In that sense, it's really not significantly different to what would have happened if Rader had a tissue sample of his own on file due to something like a biopsy, a pap smear, and being too cheap to buy a new floppy disk. That's how they got one of the most notorious serial killers of the past 50 years. As reported in The Atlantic, Rader was apparently very upset that the police had lied to him about it being safe. "I need to ask you, how come you lied to me? How come you lied to me?" Rader asked. "Because I was trying to catch you," Ken Landwehr, the homicide detective widely credited with catching him, answered coolly. "My town had a painting of this picture with people and stuff up for a couple years. It was cool and all, I was glad my town was showing more murals. But then several years later word gets out it's actually a picture of a fucking lynching. Yes. A lynching. Basically in the heart of town. Shit got taken down so quickly. I can't remember what the artist had to say about it, but here's what it looked like. Type F. Edit. The artist said his painting depicted monsters and how we should not act. The city took it down for a fear of misinterpretation." This photo before the Omagh bombing in Northern Ireland. Almost immediately after this photo was taken, a bomb was set off in the red car beside the boy on his dad's shoulders. The father and child survived miraculously, but the photographer and 28 others died, while around 220 were injured. My dad is from Northern Ireland and his brothers still live there. It's really weird hearing them talk about the troubles. I actually lived there for a few years when I was young but was sheltered from all of that stuff. We lived in a village and there was only one bombing which I don't even remember. My dad worked in Belfast though as an electrician, and there were parts of Belfast his employers wouldn't allow him to go to as he was ex-British military. You can join the Irish or British military in Northern Ireland. His employers considered it a genuine risk to his life if certain people had realized that, such were tensions. This was late 80s/early 90s. It just sounds so surreal when they talk about it, stuff like this happening this recently in a developed country, especially one I have direct experience with, is just so weird. This picture of a young woman holding a dog and crouching on the ground on Saddleworth Moor in Northern England. That's Myra Hindley, and the picture was taken by Ian Brady. Together they tortured and murdered 6 children in the 60s before burying them on the moors near Manchester. In the picture, she is crouching and staring at the grave of 12-year-old John Kilbride. Just a normal day with a family taking advantage of wildflower season and getting a wholesome photo. Just below the wife, a rattlesnake is in mid-strike towards her forearm. The wife was bitten and survived, but the dog did not. I guess the moral of the story is check the tall grass. This is a photo of the three unsung heroes that put their life on the line to prevent Chernobyl from being a worse disaster than it already was. If not for these three men in the picture, Alexei Ananenko, second left, and soldiers Valery Bezpolov, center, and Boris Baranov, far right, millions of lives would have been lost during the catastrophe of Chernobyl. 10 days after the meltdown, the plant's water cooling system had failed, and a pool had formed directly under the highly radioactive reactor. Without cooling, the lava-like substance could easily melt through the remaining barriers, dropping the reactor's core into the pool. If this would have happened, it might have set off steam explosions, firing radiation high and wide into the sky, spreading across parts of Europe, Asia, and Africa. In the photograph, engineer Alexei together with Valery and Boris are fitted with protective gear after they volunteered to dive down into the waters and drain the fluid near the reactor during the Chernobyl nuclear disaster in Pripyat, Ukraine in 1986. The mission was successful, and while the damage was still vile, the three heroes prevented what could have been a much more devastating event. Surprisingly and luckily enough, all of the three men survived.
Thanks for watching. Please do like, share, comment and subscribe for more videos.